loves, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making some cinnamon roll cookies. These are so tasty. This is actually my first time making them, but as soon as I saw the recipe I knew I had to. So you're just going to need some flour, some sugar, some butter. I will have the ingredients listed down below for you guys and all of the steps and everything as well, so you guys don't have to watch this video over and over again to get the recipe. You're also going to need some cream cheese, 2 eggs as well. You want your eggs and your butter and your cream cheese to be room temperature so that they cream together really well. You'll see in this video, guys, I messed up a little bit, but the cookie still turned out perfect. So you're going to need some sugar, some salt, of course, some baking powder, as well as some vanilla. And you're going to need some brown sugar and some more butter for the filling, but that will come up in a second. So I'm using the cinnamon and the brown sugar for the filling. So these will really look just like cinnamon rolls when they're baking in the oven. They smell just like cinnamon rolls, which is so cool. So I think that this is great if you have a cookie swap or something that you're going to on Christmas Eve. I wanted to get this video up for you guys so that you could do it. So first things first, you're going to mix up your dry ingredients. So I'm just taking the flour and I'm leveling it off. I learned how to do this in home ec in middle school, so home ec comes in handy. And I also learned how to make boxers. But I'm just taking 3 cups of the flour, I believe was the recipe. Like I said, I will have everything listed down below for you guys so that you can just read it as you go. So like I said, I'm just leveling off the flour. I actually had not a lot of flour, but I actually had a whole nother bag of flour, so we were good. But I'm just doing that, and I take the back of a knife to level off the flour. You don't have to be exact, but I didn't want a heaping cup of flour, if that makes sense. So going ahead and doing that. Well, once I've added in all the flour, I accidentally was not thinking and added the sugar. Sugar is technically a wet ingredient, you guys, if you didn't know, because you're supposed to cream the butter and the sugar together. But as you can see here, I just went ahead and added it right now. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just thought that the sugar was a dry ingredient, I guess. But I did this and then I immediately realized oh no, but the cookie still turned out great, so it's okay. So here I'm just adding the baking powder as well. I think it was 1.5 teaspoons, I believe. Like I said, the recipe will be linked below. This is a new container of baking powder, so it was just so fresh and so powdery that it was going everywhere. But I'm just going ahead and mixing up those dry ingredients. I did also add in a little bit of salt, which you guys will see a little later. And just mixing that. It should just be the flour, salt, and baking powder, but it's okay. Next up, I'm just going to go ahead and add the butter to a bowl. You're going to need a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks, and you want this to be room temperature. Mine wasn't as room temperature as I would have liked because it was so cold in my house because it's so cold outside. So I'm just going ahead and adding that to a different bowl. You want to do your wet and dry ingredients separately, and I'm going ahead and using a hand mixer just to kind of beat that up. You were supposed to cream the butter and the sugar together, like I said, but everything is fine. All is well that ends well. It all tastes good. So here I'm just adding half a thing of cream cheese. You can also double or triple this recipe if you guys need more cookies. This made about 2 dozen cookies, I want to say, so it worked out really well. And then I'm just adding some vanilla here. I always just add 2 cupfuls of vanilla to anything I'm making, no matter honestly what the recipe says, because I find that 2 cupfuls is the perfect amount of vanilla for everything that I use, for everything that I bake pretty much. So I'm just going ahead and creaming that some more, and with the cream cheese and the vanilla. And here I'm just adding in the 2 eggs with my cool little one-handed breaking of the egg. I didn't even realize I could do this until one day my mom pointed it out. She's like, "You crack an egg with one hand?" And I was like, everybody doesn't. It was just a really funny moment. Like, I didn't even realize. So here I'm just adding in the egg and making sure that everything is combined nicely. And as you guys can see, it was getting a little crazy, so I had to turn down my mixer. I really love a hand mixer. I used to hate them. I don't know why, but it was just not my thing. I also have a stand mixer, a KitchenAid, which is like my pride and joy, and I love it so much. But sometimes it can just be a little bit bulky when you're trying to bake a lot of cookies. And I baked 2 different cookies, the cinnamon roll cookies and some Linzer cookies, which were so good. So as you guys can see, the butter and the cream cheese and the egg mixture came together very nicely, even without the sugar. And now I'm just going ahead and adding the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and just mixing it. It was a little difficult because, like I said, the sugar was in the flour, so everything wasn't coming together as nicely, but the mixture will be pretty wet when you're mixing it, so don't be alarmed if you think that your batter is super wet. It's okay. It's going to stay pretty wet, and you're going to refrigerate the dough, so it'll get harder when you refrigerate it, so you don't have to worry about that. And I just went ahead and mixed the dough. It was a little difficult, like I said, because of the sugar situation, but everything turned out fine, and it was really, really not as hard as it looks. So I'm just going ahead and mixing that, and once all the dough is mixed, you're gonna want to go ahead and wrap it up in some parchment or wax paper, whatever you have is good. So I just went ahead and molded that into like a little square. You can do whatever shape you want, it doesn't really matter. And I just molded that and pressed that into a shape that I wanted, so I could go ahead and put it into the refrigerator. I will say that you do want it to be as flat as you can get it, because that way it can be easier to roll out. I was just honestly tired of working with the dough at this point, if we're being honest, so I just went ahead and wrapped it up and pressed it down, as you guys can see, because I wanted it to be pretty tight, because then it can get cold faster. And I just went ahead and did that, and I was also looking how long it had to go in the refrigerator, and you're just going to go ahead and pop it in the refrigerator for about 45 minutes to an hour. Once the hour is done, you're going to go ahead and roll out your dough. You can make them as you can make the dough as thin as you want, but not too thin, because you do have to roll it up into the cinnamon roll shape. As you guys can see here, I'm watching some YouTube while rolling out the dough, but I'm just rolling it out with this marble rolling pin, which is so pretty. And yeah, when I finished rolling out the dough, I went ahead and added some cinnamon, some sugar, and some melted butter to a bowl to make the filling, which is just like a cinnamon roll filling, and it was so good. So the filling ingredients will also be listed down below. I also wanted to mention that you can also make a really simple powdered sugar glaze to go on top of the cookies. I didn't do that because I was storing my cookies and I didn't want them to get like, you know how cookies with frosting can sometimes stick together. I didn't want that. So here I'm just adding some white sugar and some brown sugar to the bowl for the filling. But like I said, if you guys want it to be like super cinnamon roll and add the frosting, you guys can do that as well. So I'm just adding that to the bowl and adding my melted butter. I will have all the amounts of things listed down below, so you guys can read that. And here I'm just adding the mixture to the rolled out dough and spreading that out with the back of my spoon. Once I spread out all of the batter, I go ahead and roll it up. It was kind of hard to roll because I didn't flour my parchment paper before I put the dough, before I rolled out the dough, I mean. But if you guys flour your surface, it should not be this difficult. But I mean, the cookies still turned out beautiful, so it was just a little hard to roll up. But like I said, if you flour your surface before rolling out your dough, you guys will be perfectly fine. So rolling out the dough, and I'm going to put that in the freezer for about a half an hour so that it's easy to cut. And then once that half an hour is up, you go ahead and cut the cookies into whatever size that you want. You can make them smaller and thinner or a little bit thicker to resemble cinnamon rolls a little bit more. That's totally fine. I'm just cutting them with a sharp knife. You guys want to make sure that you do use a sharp knife so that you don't like bend the cookie dough, if that makes sense. So here I am just placing them on the parchment paper as well. And you want to space them out pretty nicely because they do spread a little bit because they are a rolled cookie. So you don't want to have them too close together and just have one huge cinnamon roll cookie. So I put these in the oven for about 12 minutes. And I will have the temperature listed down below. I believe it was 350, and they came out looking so good. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more happy holiday videos coming soon. And yeah, if you guys try out this recipe, definitely let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will talk to you girls in my next one very soon. Love you girls. Bye.